Hi, it's Neil Waterhouse. If you're selling up items on eBay, or if you're a full-time eBay seller, statistically, you're guaranteed at some stage to get negative feedback. It happens to all of us, and it's just part of doing business on eBay. And most buyers don't expect eBay sellers to have 100% feedback. The good news is, it's not that hard to get most negative feedbacks removed. And that's what this video is all about. I'm also going to show you 2 ways to get negative feedbacks removed, and how you can outsource this work of getting the negative feedbacks removed overseas, so you don't have to get involved with doing this process yourself. Now, if you're a brand new eBay seller and you've just got your first negative feedback, first of all, take a deep breath. Remember, all full-time eBay sellers get negative feedbacks, and eBay knows this. Most buyers realise most eBay sellers don't have the 100% feedback score. Whenever I purchase something from eBay, please excuse my chickens over there. When I purchase something from eBay, as long as the seller is greater than 98% feedback, I'm normally okay with purchasing anything. However, anything lower, I'm normally getting nervous. Don't forget, if you get too many negative feedbacks and can't get them removed, you can always open another eBay account until the negative feedbacks drop off, which they do after 12 months. eBay knows sellers get negative feedbacks, and they know how many negative feedbacks the average eBay seller gets. So our job as eBay sellers is to focus on being better than average. We don't have to be perfect, we just have to be better than average. It's kind of like that saying, you know, how fast do you need to be to outrun a lion? The answer is, of course, you just need to be faster than the person next to you. Okay, there's 2 ways to get negative feedback removed. The first is to contact eBay. However, eBay will only remove negative feedbacks if they have profound language, derogatory terms, or a breach of eBay policies. Here's a link to eBay with the other reasons that they may remove the feedback. The second way, which is what we do most of the time, is to ask the buyers to remove the feedback. When they agree, we send them a link. Now, you only get one shot at this, so you can only send this link for them to remove the negative feedback after the buyer agrees to remove the feedback. I'll show you how to get that link shortly. Now, over the last 17 years of being on eBay, I've tested literally hundreds, if not more, email scripts trying to work out what is the best email to send to get customers to remove the feedback. Here is the good and bad news. The bad news is email does a lousy job of getting rid of eBay feedbacks, no negative feedbacks, compared to calling the customer. Yes, email sometimes does work. However, what works consistently better for us is to simply pick up the phone and call the customer. People radically change their tune when they're on the phone compared to when they're hiding behind a keyboard. Most of us like to hide behind our keyboards, myself included. However, this is one time you have to go on the phone and call the customer. Don't worry though, it's not forever. In a second, I'm going to be showing you how to outsource this work. However, like most tasks, you need to learn it yourself, get your hands dirty before you can outsource it. Okay, so you need to pick up the phone. It now feels like a 20-kilo bag of concrete, and call the customer. The first thing you need to remember is the old saying, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. In other words, we have to listen more than we talk. Sorry guys, this is just like marriage. The first thing we have to do is find out exactly what the issue is. Sometimes it can be something stupidly simple, however, we have to make the person not feel like a goose. At the time when the customer left the negative feedback, they may have had a bad hair day, an argument with the spouse, or something, anything, and they were looking for somewhere to lash out, and eBay and your feedback looked like a pretty good place at the time. Or the customer could be a complete you know what, or the customer may have a legitimate complaint. One thing that irritates most eBay sellers the most, myself included, is why some buyers do not contact the seller at least once to ask for help before leaving a negative feedback. Personally, I think eBay should not allow buyers to leave a negative feedback unless they've contacted the seller at least once, just once, and then the seller has at least 24 or 48 hours to reply. But hey, I'm sure one day eBay will fix this. The great thing about calling customers is most of the time they're really nice on the phone and are really pleased and amazed that you actually called them. When customers are hiding behind a keyboard, they can be real you-know-whats, exactly like how some people behave in motor vehicles. Out of the motor vehicle, they're nice as pie. However, put them behind a steering wheel, protected by a steel can, and they become arrogant you-know-whats. It's exactly the same with people hiding behind their keyboards. Call them up on the phone and it's hard to believe it's the same person that left that negative feedback. The next thing is, before you ask them to do something for you, like remove the negative feedback, you must do something for them. We call this charging the customer's battery first. Before we ask the customer to do anything like changing their negative feedback, we have to do something for them. Always remember, if you're not losing money on some of your sales, your customer service is not good enough. Let me repeat that. If you're not losing money on some of the sales, your customer service is not good enough. Yes, this customer might be an absolute you know what, and yes, they might be ripping you off. Yes, they should have contacted you before leaving the negative feedback. However, getting this negative feedback removed is not about this one customer, it's about your whole business. Of course, block the customer as well, so they can't ever buy from you again, which always feels good. Maybe you have to refund part of the sale. Maybe you have to replace the item. Maybe you have to send them a spare part. Just do whatever it takes to put a smile on their face. After they have a smile on their face, and only after, you then ask them if they could please change the negative feedback. If you're a smaller eBay seller, this is easier. If you tell them you're only a small eBay seller and you have put a lot of work into the business, working many late nights, etc., when they agree, send them the link to remove the feedback, and I'll put a link on the video now to show you where to remove it. And on the right, there'll be a link where you can click on the request to get the feedback removed. After you click on that link, you'll see any feedbacks which you can have changed. Okay, now for the fun part of outsourcing. Many years ago, eBay decided, actually just before I get onto that, I want to say, eBay also gives you the ability to reply to negative feedback, in other words, defend yourself. However, don't do it. There's a big problem with it, is that the buyer can leave the negative feedback, then you can reply to it, but then there's one more reply the buyer can do, which is their final say. And of course, they're going to defend their original negative feedback, and then you have no ability to do any more. So it's just those three. Buyer leaves negative feedback, you reply, and then they counter reply, and that's it. And of course, they're going to always protect themselves and defend what they said. So don't go there. I'll tell you, we've done it many times and it doesn't work. Believe me, just don't do it. Anyway, where was I? Yeah. So many years ago, eBay decided it would be a good idea to give neutral feedbacks the same weight as negative feedbacks. One day I woke up to find the feedback on one of my eBay accounts had dropped overnight from 99.9% to 99.3%. At the time, I had one overseas staff member managing the customer service for this particular eBay account. I told her that if she could get the account from 99.3% to 99.4%, I'd pay her an extra $150 per month for as long as she maintained that score. This is a lot of money for somebody who makes around $2 per hour. She did just that and got the feedback up to 99.4%. I then said if she gets the feedback up to 99.5%, I'll pay her another $100 every month. And again, every extra point after that, another $100. This worked incredibly well, and the feedback score kept rising. Now, that might seem like a lot of money, but this account at the time had over 5,000 listings. So, the scheme of things, an extra $100 a month was not a big lot of money for this account. Over time, this account got to have 4 customer service staff, and every time we employed a new staff member, they were paid a bonus as well. However, we started the bonus at the point where the new person came on board. For example, if the new person started at, say, 99.5%, we only paid bonuses above that level. This has proven to work extremely well, and we've now rolled this strategy to all our eBay businesses, all our eBay accounts. One bonus of this strategy we didn't expect was all the staff members are continuously listening and watching exactly what each person says and writes. As if one person does bad customer service, this can affect the other staff's bonuses for the month. If one staff member is not pulling their weight, the other staff members are really quickly getting on the phone and communicating with us, saying, hey, get rid of this person, they're doing the X, Y, Z, and because they're trying to protect their bonuses, which of course is really good, if your eBay account. Yeah, that's all for this week. No matter where you're watching this, whether it's on Facebook or it's on my YouTube channel or on my blog, neilwaterhouse.com, please scroll down, leave a comment. If you know someone who might find this blog useful, or video blog you saw, please give me a share. Until next week, this more, sell more. This is Neil Waterhouse.